I'm Bethany, and this is class number 8 for DIY fashion illustration. This is the week that this book will come in the most handy. They do a really good job of showing how to draw textures. So we've got sweaters and showing different ways that you can draw the ridges on the cuff of a sweater. There are lots of pages of paintings where you can tell, oh, that looks like corduroy, or that looks like leather, and lots of ideas of different ways to paint fabric. But this takes it a step further, and again, for the students that are going to fall in love with this, this is the kind of book that helps them take it a step further. So all fabric was designed by someone at some point, and one of the fun things about learning about art and learning about different careers is that you'll start seeing the world different. You'll start seeing, oh, someone designed that texture on that blanket. Someone painted that design on that fabric for those curtains. They need to pick some scrapbook paper, and hopefully you were able to find free scrapbook paper from someone that used a scrapbook or just has a lot of crafty things around, and have them pick something. If they don't end up using these, that's fine. But we just need to be extra specially creative and have unique things to add to our fashion design. So have them pick a piece of paper and tuck it into their binder, and we will work on cutting those out and applying them to our drawings next week. I chose this, and somehow I'm going to incorporate that into one of my final drawings on my final page. And the way you'll end up putting it on there is you'll use tracing paper over the portion that you want to have the scrapbook paper, trace over top of that, cut the tracing paper shape out, trace that on top of the scrapbook paper, and cut the scrapbook paper out, and then you'll have the perfect shape to then use either double stick tape or a glue stick to glue that onto your final drawing. For mine, I had this pillow, and if you see, there are fabrics that go along with a farm theme. So we've got buffalo plaids and ticking stripe and regular plaids. This is a fun week. Make sure you bring in multimedia paper, or even watercolor paper would work, and you need masking tape and tape down at least one, and you might eventually be able to, if they have time, they'll be able to do 2 pages. You'll bring in their paint choices that you mixed up as best as you could and give them their paint samples. Also have each student pick 2 skin tones that they're going to add to their paint palette. So if you can bring in maybe 5 different skin tones and let each student pick the 2 that they like the most. Make sure that every week you bring in all the paint choices as far as skin tones go. Make sure you bring in white and black and gray and brown, primary colors, and any other paint choices that you have for them. Make sure you bring those in. So each student should have a high quality round paintbrush. It needs to be pointy on the end and get thicker towards the base. I just got my paintbrushes with a coupon at the craft store. They're not the highest end, but they're also not the lowest, somewhere in the middle. If you buy cheap paintbrushes, the bristles will come off. So what the students are going to do, or what you're going to do if you're following along, is just start painting. Have your mood board in front of you. Be creative, come up with different textures, use your paintbrush in different ways, do some smudging, do patterns, use all your colors, and just be creative with the paint. We're not going for painting an actual piece of fabric. We're not painting folds in fabrics, or necessarily even the texture of the fabrics. We're just trying to create a unique fabric background. Later they can paint texture, they can paint folds, in the specific outfits that they have, but right now it's just about experimenting and being creative and trying to think outside of the box. Art is not wrong unless someone's paying you to do that, so remind them that nothing they're doing is wrong. They just need to paint. Make sure that the students have water that stays fairly clean. If the water gets dirty, the paint colors won't be pure anymore. You also need to make sure that they're cleaning their brushes really well between colors. Make sure their water cups are full enough that the water can stay cleaner, and they need to have paper towels. They can share paint if they want to, but they need to try really hard to stick with the paints that match their mood board for the most part. That way, when their design line is finished, again, it looks very cohesive. As the teacher, I am going to take the paints home with me to make sure that they don't spill, to make sure that the students don't forget to bring them, because that can be an issue with a lot of these classes, is that if a student doesn't bring their supplies in or their work in, they won't be able to participate properly. So I'm going to keep the kids' paints. So just turn on some really fun music. Today I put on Cuban jazz to keep things light and fun and have them be creative and spontaneous and share in the sweetness of creativity.